On January 13, 2026, the world seemed to freeze in time. News flashed across every device and screen. An American destroyer, the USS Carney, was surrounded by Russian warships in the icy Barents Sea. In that instant, the globe collectively held its breath, sensing the gravity of what was unfolding. From Tokyo's neon-lit streets to the bustling avenues of New York, people gathered in public squares, eyes glued to massive screens. The same urgent alert echoed everywhere, igniting a wave of anxiety and fear that swept across continents. The possibility of a global crisis was no longer distant, it was suddenly, terrifyingly, real. The USS Carney, now encircled by Russian ships, found itself at the center of a nightmare scenario. This was no longer a drill or a war game, it was a true test of resolve, with the eyes of the world watching every move. Inside the ship, the crew moved with silent, almost ritualistic focus. Every action, every decision carried enormous weight. The tension was palpable, each sailor acutely aware that a single mistake could have consequences far beyond the steel walls of their vessel. On the bridge, officers worked at their stations, the Arctic wind howling outside the reinforced windows. Yet inside, discipline and professionalism reigned supreme, holding chaos at bay. To the world, it looked like a high-stakes chess match played on frigid waters. But for those on deck, it was far more immediate. Steel hulls, unknown intentions, and the ever-present threat of escalation. Military analysts filled the airwaves with speculation and theories, but the real story was unfolding in the eyes of the crew. A captain projecting calm under pressure, a young sailor tracking threats on radar, and a team united by training and resolve, refusing to be intimidated. The Carney's unwavering resolve quickly became a symbol. This was not just a test of firepower, but of professionalism, discipline, and the human spirit under pressure. Around the world, millions watched, their faces tense with worry, waiting to see who would blink first in this dangerous standoff. Would the Carney retreat in the face of overwhelming odds, or would it stand its ground, risking everything to uphold its mission and its nation's honor? The answer to that question would be written on the cold, unforgiving expanse of the Barents Sea, a place where history could change in an instant. The crew's years of rigorous training, countless drills, and hard-earned experience were about to be tested as never before. Every lesson learned would now be put to the ultimate test. Every second that ticked by, the risk of escalation loomed larger. The tension was electric, the sense of urgency unmistakable. The fate of hundreds aboard the ships, and perhaps the very balance of world order, hung in the balance. The standoff had begun, and the world could only watch, waiting for the next move. Before the crisis, the USS Carney was just a lone sentinel in the Arctic, following a routine freedom of navigation mission. The sky was gray, the sea restless, but life aboard was steady and disciplined. Sailors moved with purpose, routines honed by months at sea. The mission demonstrated the right to navigate freely in international waters, a statement in these contested seas. The Carney was a symbol of American resolve, operating near Russia's powerful northern fleet. On the bridge, officers scanned the horizon. Below, engineers and CIC operators kept watch. The ship was a self-contained world, alert but calm. The cold was biting, but inside, the crew was focused and ready. For them, it was just another day, until the routine shattered. They had no idea their professionalism would soon be tested on the world stage. The calm before the storm was about to end. The shift from routine to crisis was instant. A single, unexpected blip appeared on the radar, shattering the calm of the operations room. Then another blip, and another, until suddenly, there were 8. Each new contact sent a ripple of tension through the crew. In the Combat Information Center, the atmosphere thickened. Operators leaned in, eyes fixed on their screens, tracking the fast-approaching contacts with growing urgency. The watch officer's calm voice sharpened as he relayed the situation. 8 surface contacts, high speed, inbound, Russian naval units. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. The captain's response was immediate and decisive. Set condition 2. Anti-surface warfare. The order echoed through the ship, signaling a shift from vigilance to action. Instantly, the ship snapped to readiness. Sailors rushed to their stations, sealing watertight hatches, donning gear and preparing equipment. Damage control teams stood by, ready for anything. On deck, lookouts scanned the horizon, searching for the first visual sign of the threat. Every pair of eyes was focused, every sense heightened. The familiar hum of the ship was now joined by the clatter of weapons being readied, the click of safety harnesses, and the low murmur of urgent voices. The Carney was no longer just sailing a routine patrol, it was now facing a direct and imminent challenge, the stakes suddenly raised. As the Russian ships closed the distance, the captain's voice rang out over the intercom. General quarters, all hands man your battle stations. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Every sailor, no matter their role, moved with purpose, racing through narrow corridors to their assigned stations, donning battle gear with practiced speed. The destroyer was now fully prepared for the worst. Weapons were manned, eyes were sharp, and every crew member was ready for whatever might come. On the radar, the hostile contacts continued to close the distance. The CIC team watched, tracking every movement, knowing that the threat was about to become all too real. The crew's relentless training and unwavering discipline would now be put to the ultimate test. Every drill, every exercise had led to this moment. Every second felt stretched, every tick of the clock echoing the approach of the Russian formation. The tension was palpable as the distance closed. The Carney's crew braced themselves, gripping rails and steadying nerves, prepared for whatever would come next, whether confrontation or something. Far beyond the ship, the world watched the unfolding drama, holding its breath as news of the standoff spread across the globe. The standoff was no longer theoretical, it was happening right now, in the cold expanse of the open sea. The USS Carney was ready. Every sailor stood determined, united by purpose, prepared to face whatever the next moment would bring. The Russian warships emerged from the mist, executing a precise encirclement. 2 corvettes blocked the Carney's bow, frigates flanked her sides, and the rest sealed off retreat. The steel ring was complete, the Carney was trapped. Russian ships moved aggressively, cutting across the Carney's path, their crews visible, watching. The message was clear: you are alone, leave. For every direction, American lookouts saw Russian flags. The airwaves crackled with Russian coordination, the pressure mounting. The Russians weren't attacking, they were suffocating, hoping to force a retreat. This was a calculated display of force, a textbook encirclement at sea. Each Russian ship played its part, blocking, harassing, closing the trap. The demonstration was meant for one audience, the Carney's captain. The Russians bet that overwhelming numbers would break American resolve. The Carney's response would decide the outcome. The world watched the high-stakes chess match unfold. Surrounded and outnumbered, the Carney's crew relied on their greatest weapon, discipline. In the face of overwhelming odds, every sailor knew that panic or hesitation could spell disaster. The tension was palpable, but the crew's training kicked in, guiding their every move. The captain's order was simple: maintain course and speed. His voice was steady, a calm anchor in the storm of uncertainty. He trusted his crew, and they trusted him, each person playing their part in a well-rehearsed symphony of action. The ship pressed forward, refusing to be provoked or intimidated. Every second, the Carney demonstrated resolve, showing that discipline was not just about following orders, but about embodying courage under pressure. On the bridge, focus replaced fear. Every command was executed with precision. The crew's eyes were sharp, their hands steady, each action deliberate and controlled, even as the situation grew more intense. The Carney ignored Russian provocations, never deviating from its mission. The Russian ships tried to bait a reaction, but the Carney's crew remained unshaken, their discipline unbreakable. This was not weakness, but supreme confidence and control. The Carney's calm was a message in itself, a demonstration of strength that didn't require aggression. By refusing to react, the crew denied the Russians the escalation they sought. Their restraint was a powerful weapon, turning the psychological battle in their favor. Throughout the ship, professionalism was unwavering, from the engine room to the CIC to the weather decks. Every department worked in harmony, each sailor aware that their composure contributed to the ship's safety. The Carney's composure became its shield, an invisible force field against aggression. The crew's unity and discipline radiated outward, creating a barrier the Russians could not penetrate. The message was clear: we are not afraid, we will not be bullied. The American flag flew high, a symbol of resolve and the unyielding spirit of the crew. The Carney's strength was in its crew's character and training. Years of preparation and shared hardship had forged a team that could withstand any test. Their refusal to be rattled began to shift the dynamic. The Russians, expecting a reaction, found themselves facing a wall of calm determination. The Russians' aggressive energy was turned back on themselves. Frustration grew as their attempts to intimidate were met with unwavering resolve. The standoff became a test of nerves, not firepower. In this silent contest, discipline was the deciding factor, and the Carney's crew held the line. The Carney's discipline was changing the game, proving that true strength lies not in weapons, but in the courage and unity of those who serve together. The standoff dragged on, becoming a war of nerves. The Carney's crew endured, alert and focused, despite fatigue. Russian ships shadowed them, probing for weakness, hoping for a mistake. The Carney's answer was patience. Restraint became their strategy. By refusing to escalate, they held the moral high ground. The crew knew they represented their nation. Strength shone through composure. Routine broadcasts continued, transparent and calm, while the Russians remained silent and menacing. The contrast was stark. American openness versus Russian opacity. The Carney's steadfastness spoke volumes. True strength was holding ground with quiet determination. The Carney's secondary weapon was documentation. Sailors filmed every Russian maneuver, building a library of evidence. The MH-60R Seahawk helicopter launched, capturing the full encirclement from above. Real-time imagery was sent to Naval Command, ensuring the captain was never alone. The world could see the truth: reckless Russian aggression, not American provocation. This evidence stripped the Russians of plausible deniability. The Carney's cameras became a tool of deterrence. The Russians knew their actions were being recorded and judged. In this standoff, information was power. The Carney made sure it had all it needed. As hours passed, the Carney's discipline began to wear down the Russian squadron. The American ship never flinched, never deviated. The Russians' tight formation started to unravel. Aggressive maneuvers faded. Fatigue set in, and the psychological pressure they'd tried to apply rebounded on them. The Carney's steady course was more sustainable than the Russians' constant aggression. Cracks appeared, ships drifted, coordination faltered. The Russian mission was going nowhere. Their narrative was slipping away. The standoff was no longer a show of strength, but an embarrassing failure of coercion. The steel ring became a loose collection of tired ships. The Russians had run out of options. The Carney's strategy had prevailed. As darkness fell, the standoff ended quietly. The lead Russian frigate turned away. The others followed, dissolving the encirclement. No shots were fired. Victory was total. The Carney's crew exhaled, proud and exhausted. They had upheld freedom of navigation and proven the power of discipline. The lesson was clear: true strength lies in professionalism and restraint. The incident would be studied for years as a model of crisis management. The Carney sailed on, its message clear. Discipline is the sharpest sword. The world had witnessed a victory for the rule of law. The Barents Sea was quiet once more.